What well, take a seat comfortably, my friends. Today I shall tell you a story that may make you look at familiar horizons in a new way, forget for a while what you know and give free rein to your imagination. Chapter 1, The Dawn of Coexistence. Imagine the vast expanses of the Wild West, where the scorching sun-baked prairies stretch to the horizon, and majestic canyons slice through the land like scars of ancient gods. But among this harsh splendor roam not only bison and wolves, but also giant shadows whose steps make the earth tremble. Dinosaurs, not extinct relics, but living, mighty inhabitants of this world. Tyrannosaurs whose roars echo for miles, triceratops whose horns gleam under the blazing sun, and graceful velociraptors flickering in the tall grass. This coexistence formed over millennia, long before the cowboys arrived. Native American tribes wove dinosaurs into their myths. For some they were spirit ancestors, for others a trial from nature. Some learned to read their tracks, avoid their trails, or even use their presence to ward off enemies. When the first settlers set foot on these lands, they faced a reality where familiar rules of survival no longer worked. Veterans of the Civil War, used to bullets and sabers, were struck speechless at the sight of a brontosaur lazily chewing leaves at a watering hole, or hearing the roar of a predator ripping through the night silence and sending horses into panicked rearing. The first encounters were chaotic and often tragic. Settlers, unaware of these creatures' behaviors, often fell victim to their own carelessness. Stories were told of caravans crushed by migrating herds of diplodoci, or gold prospectors whose camps were ravaged by packs of small predators. But there were those who saw not only danger but the majesty in dinosaurs. The elders of native tribes shared stories of the great walkers, whose bones found in the earth were considered sacred. Some cowboys, having survived the first panic, began to notice patterns. Where herbivores grazed, fewer predators lurked, and dinosaur tracks could lead to hidden water sources. It was a world where fear and respect for nature walked hand in hand, forging a new way of life. Chapter 2, Conquest and Adaptation. The first years of coexistence were a time of trial and error. A standard rifle, able to fell a wolf or bandit, proved useless against the armored ankylosaur or swift velociraptor. Settlers quickly learned that survival required a changed approach. Ranches were built with dinosaur migration routes in mind. High stone walls, reinforced wooden palisades, and deep ditches became standard. Horses, naturally skittish, required special care to prevent panic at the sight of massive beasts. But it wasn't all defense. Some of the most daring cowboys began to harness dinosaurs for their own purposes. Slow-moving triceratops, for example, could pull immense loads if guided correctly. Dinosaur hides became boots and belts, and bones turned into tools and ornaments. Life with dinosaurs changed the very essence of the Wild West. Towns were built like fortresses, and caravans traveled with armed escorts ready for any surprise. The economy also transformed. Trading dinosaur hides and bones became a profitable venture, and some ranches began raising small herbivores like Parasaurolophus for their eggs and meat. The first dinosaur fairs emerged, where traders displayed rare trophies, triceratops horns, velociraptor claws, or even fossilized teeth considered lucky charms. Transportation evolved with the new threat in mind. Armored wagons pulled by teams of oxen could withstand small predator attacks, and early steam machines thundering across the prairies repelled dinosaurs with their noise. Cavalry troops learned to maneuver among canyons using natural cover, while shepherds adapted to herd livestock so as not to intersect dinosaur migration paths. This world demanded not just strength but cunning, and those who learned to adapt became legends. Chapter 3, Hunters and Harvest. Hunting dinosaurs became an art requiring courage, knowledge, and steel nerves. Dinosaur slayers, as those who dared venture into the prairie with rifles, dynamite, and nets, were not mere hunters but scientists of their time, studying tracks, behaviors, and weak points of these giants. Ankylosaur hides went into armor, triceratops bones into beams for construction, and meat, though tough, saved lives during harsh winters. But hunting was deadly dangerous. Velociraptors hunted in packs with terrifying coordination, and a tyrannosaur could scent prey from miles away. Hunting brigades used everything from bison carcass decoys to traps with sharpened stakes. Some even trained dogs to distract small predators, although such dogs rarely survived long. Dinosaur hunting spawned its own traditions and legends. Tavern lore spoke of Iron Jack, who allegedly felled a tyrannosaur alone by luring it into a canyon and collapsing a rock upon it. Other tales told of women hunters using poisons from local plants to sedate dinosaurs before dispatching them. These stories may have been embellished, but they inspired young daredevils. At the same time, hunting became regulated. Killing dinosaurs without reason was forbidden to preserve the fragile ecosystem balance. Some species like stegosaurs were deemed too valuable to kill, as their presence deterred predators from settlements. Dinosaur slayers thus became not only providers, but guardians of balance in this unusual world. Chapter 4: Neighbors and Boundaries. Living alongside dinosaurs required strict rules. Settlers quickly learned to avoid hunting herbivorous dinosaurs near their homes to not attract predators. Dinosaur rangers emerged, people tasked with patrolling boundaries, warding off small creatures, and resolving conflicts between farmers and dinosaurs. These rangers knew the habits of every species, where brontosaurs grazed, how to avoid a velociraptor encounter, and what to do if a tyrannosaur strayed too close. They used torches, loud noises, and even smoke bombs to drive away uninvited visitors. Over time, dinosaurs, especially herbivores, began avoiding human settlements as if recognizing their territory. At times, surprising bonds formed between humans and dinosaurs. In some settlements, pterodactyls were fed fish to aid shepherds in finding lost cattle. There were stories of elderly men who fed small sauropods scraps of food for years, and the beasts, as if in gratitude, refrained from trampling their fields. This was not domestication in the strict sense, but a fragile truce. Meanwhile, farmers learned to use natural barriers. Rivers, rocks, and dense forests became allies in creating safe zones. Some towns even held annual festivals celebrating dinosaurs as part of frontier life, decorating streets with their images and sharing stories of how humans and dinosaurs learned to share this harsh but beautiful land. Chapter 5: Transport and Technology. Dinosaurs propelled technological development in unexpected directions. Ordinary wagons were too fragile to withstand even a small predator attack, so armored coaches reinforced with steel plates and spikes appeared. Horses gradually yielded to steam machines capable of hauling heavy loads and unfazed by dinosaur roars. Bold engineers experimented with harnessing large herbivores like diplodocus for freight transport. These dino haulers, massive platforms pulled by dinosaurs, became lifelines for caravans crossing perilous regions. To protect people, durable leather armor was crafted, capable of withstanding a velociraptor's claws, and powerful crossbows emerged, firing tranquilizer bolts. Railroads evolved too. Tracks were laid with dinosaur migrations in mind, and locomotives outfitted with sirens and spotlights to scare off beasts. In some areas, trains were even escorted by armed detachments ready to repel attacks. A whole industry sprouted around specialized gear, from reinforced saddles to harpoons able to penetrate stegosaur hide. Scientists and mechanics of the Wild West ventured into chemistry, creating smoke screens and even primitive gas grenades to dissuade predators. These technologies, born of necessity, turned the Wild West into not just a land of survival, but an arena of astonishing invention where human ingenuity clashed with ancient might. Chapter 6: Great Clashes. Not all coexistence was peaceful. Massive migrations of herbivores, especially herds of diplodocus, could become cataclysms when their paths crossed settlements. Diplodocus herds moving toward water smashed fences and homes, leaving devastation in their wake. It was worse when such herds were followed by predators like Allosaurus or Tyrannosaurus, for whom human settlements were merely convenient prey. In such events, towns became fortresses, residents barricaded streets, and militias used all tools from rifles to homemade cannons loaded with buckshot. Tactics evolved. Direct conflict gave way to traps where dinosaurs were lured into tight canyons or minefields. Sometimes cowboys and Native Americans joined forces, setting aside old grudges to face the common threat. These battles forged heroes. Tales were told of Lightning Kate, a sharpshooter woman who saved an entire town by luring a pack of velociraptors into a burning canyon, or of an old native warrior named Grey Wind, who armed only with a spear and torch distracted a tyrannosaur from a caravan long enough for people to escape. These stories, often embellished, became part of folklore, inspiring new generations. Yet each victory came at a cost. Destroyed homes, dead livestock, and lost lives were stark reminders that the Wild West was a place where humans were always guests, never masters. These clashes hardened people, forcing them to seek new means of defense and survival. Chapter 7: Native and Beast, Ancient Alliances. Native tribes that had lived with dinosaurs for millennia possessed knowledge that saved lives. They could read triceratops tracks, predict migratory paths, or avoid regions favored by predators. Some tribes, like those revering the thunderbird, tamed small dinosaurs such as ornitholestes to use them in hunting or scouting. Their warriors riding fast beasts were a fearsome force, capable of outpacing any cavalry. Shamans performed rituals to summon dinosaur spirits and, rumor had it, could predict dinosaur behavior by the stars or the wind. This knowledge passed down through generations made Native people invaluable allies to settlers. When cowboys began turning to Native Americans for help, it changed the dynamics of the Wild West. For example, the Black-Spear tribe taught settlers how to use the scent of certain herbs to repel velociraptors. In exchange, cowboys shared firearms and tools. These alliances were rare but powerful, Merged detachments of natives and settlers could drive off even a large predator using a combination of traditional spears and rifles. Some elders even claimed dinosaurs were gifts from the land, and their presence taught humans humility. These lessons helped forge a fragile balance where man and beast learned to respect each other even if that respect was born of struggle. Chapter 8, Lost Worlds and Discoveries. The Wild West with dinosaurs was full of mysteries. Deep canyons and impenetrable forests hid not only dinosaur herds, but lost worlds inhabited by species considered extinct. Paleontologists risking their lives ventured on expeditions to study these creatures, finding fossils and even living dinosaurs unknown to science. One such discovery, a cave filled with glowing crystals and nests of pterodactyls, became a sensation, drawing scientists from around the world. Following dinosaur trails, gold prospectors found not only veins of precious metals, but ancient ruins possibly belonging to civilizations that knew more about dinosaurs than contemporaries. These discoveries changed people's understanding, prompting reflection on humanity's place in the world. Each expedition was an adventure. Tales spoke of the Canyon of Forgotten Bones, where the skeleton of an unknown dinosaur with teeth shining like diamonds was found, or of a valley where plants could sedate even a tyrannosaurus. These finds attracted not only scientists, but adventurers craving fame and fortune. Some bold souls following dinosaur paths discovered caves with ancient rock art depicting humans and beasts fighting side by side. These discoveries spawned new myths and legends, fueling the spirit of adventure. The Wild West became not just a stage for survival, but a setting where boundaries of science and imagination were constantly pushed. Chapter 9, Symbiosis and Trade. Gradually, life in a world where cowboys and dinosaurs coexisted side by side achieved lasting equilibrium. What would later be called the era of symbiosis began not just coexistence, but mutual benefit. People learned to use dinosaurs not only as beasts of burden or hunting targets, but as vital parts of the economic and social fabric. Specialized fairs emerged where rare hides, herbivore eggs, strong sinews for bowstrings, and exotic plants from dinosaur valleys were traded. Some individuals were tamed for specific tasks. Diplodocus served as mobile platforms and cargo haulers in mines. Pterosaurs acted as postal homing birds, delivering messages across dangerous territories, and stegosaurs functioned as living bulldozers in construction and agriculture. A new profession arose, the dino trader, a person licensed to trade dinosaurs, their byproducts, and equipment. A new culture formed. Roadside diners bore signs reading giant dinosaur meat, children played with wooden tyrannosaurs, and cowboys wore armored saddles and jewelry made from raptor teeth. This was the New West, not just wild, but ancient. Chapter 10, The Twilight of an Era. But nothing is eternal. Over time the balance began to falter. Dinosaur populations dwindled due to overhunting, destruction of habitat, and diseases brought by humans and livestock. Some species vanished forever, others became critically rare. Humans, ever thirsty for domination, pushed dinosaurs farther from inhabited regions. Scientific and industrial progress, bolstered by knowledge gained from coexisting with these creatures, began to dominate. The advent of internal combustion engines and an expanding railroad network drove a greater separation from nature. Elders nostalgically remembered times when Diplodocus wandered slowly through villages, and children excitedly reached skyward to greet pterodactyls flying overhead. But now it had become rare, almost mythical. Still, in remote corners in protected valleys, rocky canyons, or remote tropical forests, dinosaurs continued to live. People weary of bustle retreated there to find themselves and restore lost connection with the ancient world. And though civilization prevailed, the memory of a time when a cowboy could ride alongside an ankylosaur across the prairie did not die. It became part of legends, songs, and tales, and possibly an inspiration for future generations to rediscover forgotten paths.